In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, we are going to talk about the top Spanish prospects for the 2024 NBA Draft. Now, France has a lot of NBA talent coming out of their country, but they've been losing to Spain in a lot of the national competitions. We're going to talk about Spanish prospects that could be drafted in 2024 NBA Draft and maybe, just maybe, even first-round picks. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board. Got my brother James here, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more right now. If you are a new customer, listen, if you are a new customer, you can bet $5, just $5, and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. We want you to like, we want you to share, subscribe, comment. That is the best way to help us grow the YouTube channel. And also you can leave a rating on your podcast wherever you're listening. Let's get right into this episode.
All right, let's get to it.
I want to talk about Aday Mara and Juan Nunez. Two players that play totally different positions, totally different skill sets, playing on two different continents. But there are some people that think they could be in the first round. Aday Mara, 7'3", going to UCLA. There are some people that I've seen that think he is a top 10 pick because of his size. He is a really good passer. His feel as a passer for a big,
throw one of those.
Like a lot of people talk about Victor was a good passer. I do think that Victor has different angles that Victor Wembanyama I'm talking about has different angles that he can see that nobody else can see. But he's nowhere near the passer of Aday Mara. Aday Mara throws cross-court passes out the post.
He threw it behind the back.
His feel. And I got a son. He's 14 months old. Right? And I want him to be a hooper. If he doesn't become one, great. But I'm actually on my way to Spain later on today. I want to take my son to Spain and figure out what they're doing to develop their players because I can't name too many Spanish players that don't have a little bit of flash in their passes. The bigs, like Gasols, they could pass. And they have this freedom to throw high-risk, high-reward passes. Aday is 7'3". He's whipping behind-the-back passes. Despite all that, the size at 7'3", the passing, has a good resume. I have my concerns. What are your concerns? And then I'll get to mine.
The biggest concern, the biggest red flag for me with him is defense.
You don't think he can move his feet?
I don't think he can move his feet. He's 7'3", right? And if you put a stretch 5 out there, I think he's cooked because it's laborious for him to close out.
What?
Yeah, it's a lot. It takes a lot of effort, labor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between James and Leif pulling out these words,
man, look,
I got
your
vocabulary gonna be expanded. Listen to NBA Big Board.
But I just think it's hard for him to close out on bigs.
I agree 100%.
And it's gonna be tough. And again, you that big, and let's say he develops into an offensive force. Well, he can get played off the floor if we go small, a la Rudy Gobert against.
But
the Clippers.
I think that he can. You can give him the ball. Like if the team goes small, I think that he can make you pay.
Okay, but he's a lot of legs.
All legs.
He's a lot of legs. So how are you going to be able to back down a 6'8" guy when you stick in your booty in his forearm? Like you can't move him.
Yeah.
And he shot 33% in the post at his last professional stint. So it's like, yeah, he's got the talent, he's got the touch, left hand, right hand, like that's great, but can you post up smaller guards efficiently is my biggest concern. So that and the defense.
Yeah, he lacks strength. In my notes,
he did get big. He did. I'm sorry. Before you go, he did get bigger between playing for Spain and where he just played at professionally. Like I could see the physical development.
Yeah, and I thought he had a really good summer this year. 7'7" wingspan. My notes, I got his coordinated, good feet, pick and roll threat. I think he sets good screens, good footwork as a roller, soft toucher on the rim, hooks, floaters. He's got a fadeaway, which if he's 7'7" wingspan and you're 7'3", I don't want you fading away too much. But I like his.
Need to if he can't bully you.
Yeah, but I think a hard duck in shoulder. Anyway, he's patient, poised in the low post. Left-hand finisher, good hands. They score with both hands. Fundamentals are there. Keeps the ball high. That's the one thing about Spanish bigs.
Yes.
You don't see them squatting, loading up. He keeps the ball high.
I got that written down. Keeps the ball high.
Pau Gasol. I used to always think, like, if Dwight Howard just did the Pau Gasol, kept it high, it would have added at least another 2,000 points to his career. Because by the time he was powering up trying to dunk, he got fouled, and those turned into missed free throws. I also think that he can run the floor. He's coordinated, draws a lot of fouls with his activity and, of course, his size. But I love the passing. I love how he finds cutters, makes quick decisions. I love his IQ. But my concerns are he's not an explosive athlete, which is overrated. I mean, we just saw a guy win MVP that don't get off the ground. Lacks foot speed and agility. I'm sure that's the same thing they said about Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Struggles changing directions on defense. I think that's the biggest thing because he's coordinated, but
7'3", man.
I think once those hips get going one way, it's hard to flip them and turn the other way.
Hips don't lie, like Shakira said.
But I want to see what he looks like when he gets stronger. Because his build is different to me. Like you said, it's all legs. His upper body looks so small. But I think his legs, I think he has a decent foundation with his legs. But his upper body is weak. But he gets pushed out of his spots. And I wonder how much of that is due to his high center of gravity. Yeah. Like if he's posting up and you can push him out and then I just think that's a major area of concern, but he can shoot the short-range jump shot if he is pushed out of his spots. Kind of like Porzingis. Yeah. Porzingis gets pushed out of his spots, but can he guard in space? And that is my biggest concern. And then he's not like a great shot blocker. I think he impacts on the defensive end with his size just because he is so big. But he's not a great shot blocker. I actually saw there's a guy named Dame Sarr. Remember that name? Dame Sarr. He's only like 16.
You related to the rest of them, Sarr?
No, he's actually from Italy.
Okay.
He's actually from Italy. And he banged on Mara this summer. I'm talking like dunked on him. And Dame plays he's Italian, but he plays for Barcelona. It's a guy that we'll probably be talking about for 25, maybe 26 draft. And Dame he's a guy that is a decent athlete, but he's only like bouncy with a runway. Yeah. And he's skinny, he's thin. But the way he dunked on Mara was like, I don't respect you down there. And so, but yeah, those are my concerns about can he defend. But I definitely want to see what he looks like when he gets stronger. So my question to you is, first round pick, yay or nay?
Late first? May? D? It just depends on how efficient he becomes in the post to me. I think the defensive concerns are always going to be there because, you're that big. The NBA floor is huge. Teams are going to, if you become that, offensive threat, we're going to try to play you off the floor. It doesn't work with Jokic because he's going to punish all of those switches, right? So can he punish switches? Is he going to be able to score in the post to keep him on the floor? Ultimately is going to come down to his defensive mobility and him being able to just be great in the post. Now again, passing, that's a green check mark. He's great at that. But
But that's why I'm a little torn because I'm like, all right, what if he gets stronger? Okay. He can punish those mismatches. Okay. Because I think he's going to be able to do stuff off both shoulders, good touch. Yeah. Jokic, it's unfair to compare anybody to Jokic. But what if he is 40% of Jokic. Because the passing is there. And I don't see him bringing the ball up court. You know?
No. We're just talking about in the half court.
But the passing is there. He finds cutters already.
Okay.
The touch is already good with both hands. I think he's going to be able to space the floor eventually because of the touch, but I think he can knock down the short corner, the elbow jumpers. So if he's 40% of Jokic,
okay,
was that a first-round pick to you?
Man, it almost feels like any percentage of Jokic is a first-round pick. But like you said, if he can check those boxes, he's worth a late first-round grade to me. But I just feel like there's always going to be defensive concerns with him.
I want to talk to you about none other than FanDuel. Snap into the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200. $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than to get into the action right now because basketball season is here, football season is definitely here, and the app is so easy to use. James is a big FanDuel user, and which betting options do you use?
I like to play tournaments, man.
What's the tournaments for those that don't know?
Pick a set of guys. You got a salary cap. You're trying to find a sleeper who's going to push you over the top, who's going to get you that win. Shout out to Nikola Jovic. Robbed me last night, but hey, it's what it is.
So you playing FanDuel in the preseason?
Oh yeah, man. I love basketball, man. Why not?
So the app is easy to use, and there is a wide range of betting options from spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL and NBA season. And I just wonder, because it's a copycat league, and there's nothing wrong with being a copycat if you copy the right cat.
You right?
Is somebody going to take him really high because of the success of Nikola Jokic?
Well, here's the thing.
Because we've seen Skeetish go high.
That's true, but at the same time, my man Şengün kind of slipped, and he had the Jokic blueprint.
Yep.
So it's like,
and he won MVP of the Turkish league,
and he is cold.
And hey, I'm Houston. Look,
hey.
Şengün is your team. I know Jalen Green is, he's got the pizzazz.
But they can work together, though.
They can work together, but Şengün should get a touch every time.
Şengün is that dude. But again,
he can handle. He's cool. But I think in a redraft,
he would go what?
He goes higher. I think he goes higher.
Yeah. But again, the blueprint was there, and it still, he still kind of fell. And I don't think he's as good as Şengün is. So,
all right, let's talk about Juan Nunez. Juan Nunez is fun to watch. He is your typical Spanish point guard, got a little flair to his game, knows how to run a team, knows how to find his bigs. He is a guy that I think that he may not pass like your typical NBA point guard eye test. He's not flying down the floor. He's not making plays above the rim. He just knows how to play, and I think that's the type of guy that you select maybe late first round, second round, because he could be a rotation or third point guard for a long time. Good size.
Yeah, 6'4".
But the passing, the IQ, and I think the shot has gotten better. Okay. That was like a major concern a couple years ago. But of course, he's like 16 years old. Mm-hmm. He's playing professional ball, playing in Germany. What were your thoughts on him?
He's very good, very, very solid, very steady. No surprises. He's almost like boring, but in a good way, because you know exactly what you're gonna get out of him. Pace in the pick and roll.
Ambidextrous.
The vision. He looks like a Spanish point guard.
Take risks. And that's what I was saying before. Like, I don't know if I got to send my son there, but I want young Rafael to be playing in his little league games. I want him whipping behind the back passes. I want him throwing left hand, right hand, skip passes. I want him to feel like he has the freedom and confidence to throw passes at every angle. And it just seems like guards from Spain and Argentina have that.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ginobili, whether it's Campazzo, whether it's... I mean, there's so many guards from Spain that just take these high-risk, high-reward passes, but it's like a fundamental pass in a sense. And I love the pace, and I think the pace comes with, hey, we're not great athletes.
Yeah. That's a blessing and a curse at times.
And so, but he has that. So I like him. I like him a lot. But I like the frame. But I just like the craftiness and creativity. What are your biggest concerns about him?
Finishing at the rim in traffic is going to be a challenge.
Because he lacks the burst and pop and all of that.
He was getting a couple of those beat during the FIBA.
And I have that on my notes from October 2021.
That he was getting his shot beat.
Gets shots blocked at the rim. At the time, he was a very poor three-point shooter. And, I mean, obviously everything with him is going to be, like, below the rim. But that was a concern I had almost 3 years ago.
Okay. I don't know if I'm buying his shooting off the dribble right now. Mm-hmm. It's a little shaky, and his release is a little slow, too. So you keep that in mind, all right? We're not on a sweep. I feel like teams are going to be comfortable switching their big because he's probably not going to go buy the big. And, like, is he going to be able to create space, A, and B, is he going to be able to get that off when he does create space?
Mm-hmm. But now he's scoring a lot better than I thought. Like when I said I used to watch him a couple years ago, he had games where he had like 6 points, but he controlled the game and they won. And if I'm an NBA team, what do I want out of a rotational point guard? Someone that can run the team, that takes care of the ball. He has size to where he can, he can do some things with his size, but the biggest question is, can he knock down open shots off the catch?
Yeah.
So if he's like your backup point guard and he, you pair him with a Jordan Clarkson, like 6-man or somebody that's supposed to get a bucket, can Jordan or whoever... Did I say Jordan? Is that his Jordan Clarkson? I don't know why sometimes you think like, did I say that? But anyway, you have like a Jordan Poole or Clarkson or somebody like that, and they pass it out to your game manager. Can he knock down open shots? And that's the biggest concern.
I think sometimes, just watching his last FIBA tape, he was a bit passive getting downhill. Maybe thinking about the shot blocker. Mm-hmm. Like if he doesn't have that straight line to the basket, he's kind of like in between, what do I do? Do I need to shoot the floater? Can I shoot at the rim? Am I going to get this slapped out of bounds? I would like to see him be a little bit more decisive there. But, he's really good. And, again, hey, man, I coined the term complexion comparisons. He reminded me of Beno Udrih from back in the Spurs day. Beno was really good off the bench, left-handed, big guard. He did get opportunity to start a couple years in Sacramento, and he was productive considering the minutes, but ultimately he was best as, a backup or what I like to call your fifth best starter.
Yep. So, NBA player or EuroLeague star?
I think he's an NBA player, man. But ultimately, I just think he's a backup table setter.
I think it's going to be up to him.
That's true too.
Does he want to play in the NBA, play that style, or does he want to go to Europe and be like a starter? Like, oh man, I can't think of the guy's name right now.
So shout out to my man Nando DeCola. who kind of had a similar role.
The Kel'el's a bucket. He's a scorer.
But over here, it was just kind of like, eh.
But it's the kid, I can't think of his name right now. Lithuanian guard that the Knicks drafted a couple years ago.
Ignas, bruds.
No, Rokas Jokubaitis. I like Jokubaitis. Jokubaitis says, I first started watching him when he was playing against the Ball brothers back in, I don't even remember what year that was. So when they went to Lithuania, and he's been good for a long time. I've had a chance to watch him play live a few times. The Knicks drafted him, and he's in a situation where he's in a good spot playing for Barcelona. Do you want to stay in Barcelona? And Barcelona's a great city, one of the best cities in the world. You're playing for he was playing for his coach, another Lithuanian coach. Or do you go to New York and say, hey, in New York, I don't even know if I have a chance to fight or even get a fair opportunity for playing time behind
We're the
Brunson
minutes and
quickly.
And then you got to fight off. Then you're going to have Deuce guarding you full court in practice. It's like, eh.
And I think he can't play. So I wonder if it's a situation, does he just wait it out and until like maybe the Knicks trade him to another team? Does he come over at 25 or 28 as opposed to spending his early years? So I think Juan Nunez could have a similar situation and path. He may get drafted, maybe a guy that hold on to his rights for a while, and then maybe at 25, 26, after he's got hundreds of high-level European experience under his belt, hundreds of games, then he decides, okay, I'm ready to make that jump. But I do think that he can be an NBA player, but I think that he's just going to have to decide, do I want to be an NBA rotation player, maybe third guard, or do I want to be a starter in the ACB in Spain? Well, that wraps up this episode. Once again, big shout out to you, the listener, for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Me and my brother James just talked about the top Spanish prospects for the 2024 NBA Draft. I am on my way to Spain. So in the very near future, you're going to hear me do episodes on what I saw in Spain. I'm on my way to watch Zachary Risa and just learn a little bit more about the development of Spanish prospects. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe, James Barlowe, and we are out.